Realism, sometimes called naturalism, in the arts is generally the attempt to represent subject matter truthfully, without artificiality and avoiding speculative fiction and supernatural elements. Realism has been prevalent in the arts at many periods, and can be in large part a matter of technique and training, and the avoidance of stylization. In the visual arts, illusionistic realism is the accurate depiction of life forms, perspective, and the details of light and color. The Stonebreakers was an 1849 painting by the French painter Gustave Courbet. It was a work of realism, depicting two peasants, a young man and an old man, breaking rocks. The Stonebreakers was first exhibited at the Paris Salon of 1850. As a work of realism, the subject matter addressed a scene of everyday life. Artist, Gustave Courbet. Period, realism. Dimensions, 170 centimeters x 240 centimeters, 65 in x 94 in. Year 1849. Medium, oil on canvas. Fauvism, Fauvism, is the style of Les Fauves, French for the wild beasts, a group of early th century modern artists whose works emphasized painterly qualities and strong color over the representational or realistic values retained by Impressionism. Woman with a Hat is a painting by Henri Matisse. An oil on canvas. It depicts Matisse's wife, Amélie. It was painted in and exhibited at the Salon d'Automne during the fall of the same year, along with works by Under de Reyne, Maurice de Vlaminck, and several other artists known as Fauves. Artist, Henri Matisse. Period, Fauvism. Year, 1905. Medium, oil on canvas. Location, San Francisco Museum of Modern Art. Impressionism is a 19th-century art movement characterized by relatively small, thin, yet visible brush strokes, open composition, emphasis on accurate depiction of light in its changing qualities, often accentuating the effects of the passage of time. Ordinary subject matter, unusual visual angles, and inclusion of movement as a crucial element of human perception and experience. Impressionism originated with a group of Paris-based artists whose independent exhibitions brought them to prominence during the 1870s and 1880s. The five famous artists of Impressionism: Edgar Degas, Pierre-Auguste Renoir, and Camille Pissarro. Expressionism is a modernist movement, initially in poetry and painting, originating in Northern Europe around the beginning of the 20th century. Its typical trait is to present the world solely from a subjective perspective, distorting it radically for emotional effect in order to evoke moods or ideas. Expressionism famous artists are Edvard Munch, Vincent van Gogh, Egon Schiele, Vasily Kandinsky, Paul Klee, Domrose, Chaim Soutine, Oskar Kokoschka. The Scream. Artist, Edvard Munch. Abstract art is art that does not attempt to represent an accurate depiction of a visual reality, but instead use shapes, colors, forms, and gestural marks to achieve its effect. Vasily Kandinsky. Cossacks, 1910-1. Tate. Strictly speaking, the word abstract means to separate or withdraw something from something else. Still from Gerhard Richter, The Painter Without a Brush. Dadaism. The Dada movement consisted of artists who rejected the logic, reason, and aestheticism of modern capitalist society, instead expressing nonsense, irrationality, and anti-bourgeois protest in their works. The art of the movement spanned visual, literary, and sound media, including collage, sound poetry, cut-up writing, and sculpture. Dadaist artists expressed their discontent toward violence, war, and nationalism, and maintained political affinities with radical left-wing and far-left politics. Fountain is a ready-made sculpture by Marcel Duchamp in 1917, consisting of a porcelain urinal signed R. Mutt. Artist, Marcel Duchamp. Period Dada. Created, 1917 to 1917. The death of the Gravidigacy, 1895 to 1900. Artist, Carlos Schwab. Art form, painting. Period, or movement, symbolist literature. Symbolism is artistic imitation or invention that is a method of revealing or suggesting immaterial, ideal, or otherwise intangible truth or states. B. The use of conventional or traditional signs in the representation of divine beings and spirits. Surrealism was a cultural movement which developed in Europe in the aftermath of World War I and was largely influenced by Dada. The movement is best known for its visual artworks and writings, and the juxtaposition of distant realities to activate the unconscious mind through the imagery. The Persistence of Memory is a painting by artist Salvador Dali and one of the most recognizable works of Surrealism. First shown at the Julian Levy Gallery in 1932. Since 1930 the painting has been in the collection of the Museum of Modern Art in New York City, which received it from an anonymous donor. Artist, Salvador Dali. Dimensions, 24 centimeters by 33 centimeters. Period, Surrealism. Location, the Museum of Modern Art, since 1934. Created, 1931. Futurism was an artistic and social movement that originated in Italy in the early 20th century, which later also developed in Russia. It emphasized dynamism, speed, technology, youth, violence, and objects such as the car, the airplane, and the industrial city. Ascending forms or ascending forces. Artist, Gerardo Dottore. Period, Futurism. Created, 1930. Genre, pastoral.